Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so that therapy session time. Hope everybody's having a good Memorial Day weekend. That's what this is. For me, just to tell you guys what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. I'm feeling pretty good today. I got up around 5 in the morning. Body clock all the way thrown off as always, and I had made a playlist yesterday that I wanted to listen to. Like I always do, I tend to find myself up in the wee hours of the morning with a fresh playlist done, having been listened to, that I can just kind of go into my little area in the back here, sit down, light a candlelight, get my weed going, grab some water, and just sit there and listen to it. So that's what I tend to like to do before the sun rises. I've been doing that here and there for the last couple of years while being in this house. And unfortunately, I woke up too late. That's what it was. It was already 5 by the time I was ready to do that. The sun was already up. It defeats the purpose in a way. So that was not going to be done. But what I did do is get the shower going, did all the morning stuff, and as I was starting that process, I was looking at my phone and I just saw a bunch of stuff that probably needed to be prayed about, if nothing else. Maybe not talked about, but just a bunch of negative stuff in the phone. As always, you get up in the morning and the first thing you see is shootings, stabbings, child trafficking. It's just like, whoa. Can we see some sports? Like, this is why I tend to go toward entertainment, even though I have a mind that really cares about this stuff. It's because it will deteriorate your will before you even get up to start your day. You're already ready to lay back down and start the next day with all the bad stuff you see. So I just wanted to kind of come here and just filter myself. I had done some praying, and to be honest with you, after I had gotten out the shower and did all, gotten freshed up and all that, I was telling myself that I want to do other things other than this therapy session. I'm like, I want to start my squat regimen because I haven't done it in 3 days. Even though I've been doing heavier squats with the heavy weights, it's not the same thing. I do a lot of small sets with like 10-pound weights or something like that. I don't even think they're 10 pounds, probably like 7 pounds a piece, and I do like almost 1,700 squats every time I do it. And I've been working on this for years. It ain't like I started that number. Hell no. I started with like literally 20, and I've worked my way up over the last 5 years to 1,734. So I go 2 sets of, I think I've already told you guys this, so if you've heard this already, but 2 sets of 4, 2 sets of 6, 2 sets of 8, 2 sets of 10, and then I work my way up from 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, all the way up to 90. And that's how I do it. It usually takes a long time. That's the only thing about me and my workouts. It's the same problem I had several years ago when I was working out like that. I mean, I build myself up to ridiculously high numbers. It's just time consuming, man. You're not going to be able to do that one squat regimen for anything less than an hour and a half. You're going to be standing there. Nothing less. With like maybe 2-minute, 3-minute breaks in between, which I usually don't need. At this point, I've worked my resistance up to where I can get out there and get all the way up to 30 without even taking really as much as a water break or sweat. But this is one of those situations where I haven't done it in 3 days, and I wanted to get back to it, but I had been sore in some very key areas, so it's like maybe I should just let those areas heal. Left leg, neck, it's like all of that stuff requires me to kind of be 100%. So I just let it heal. But this morning, I woke up fully healed, no pain, and still kind of wanting to do other things. And it's just like I don't want to start the process of heading down the other direction with my fitness because I'm in a space where I like where I look, the way I look, and I respect that what it took to get here was a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication, and a lot of that had to do with prayer. Prayer in regards to, and I've told you guys about how I started my push-up regimen and how I ultimately just keep this going by saying prayers in regards to my mindset, my stem, as I always call it. What sparks the mind to do the work, what sparks the mind to endure the pain of working out and endure whatever necessary sacrifices to eat or whatever, so that you can look the way you want to look. It starts with for me, a commitment to something greater than myself, a commitment to a tendency that I would otherwise not stay committed to if not for a devotion to something greater. So that's kind of how I look at it. I do my push-ups regularly. I do my everything that I do with the support of the schedule that I have that doesn't allow for much of anything outside of what I want to do. And so I've been fortunate enough at this point to still be in this space where I have had the time, but over the last 3 days, I just ain't did my 1700. So that's what I wanted to do instead of this. But I felt like this was probably a bit more important. So I just figured I'd turn on the camera and let some plans kind of go by the wayside for the betterment of what needs to be said here, which I really never have a script. Just a prayer in mind that, I want to be obedient to God and use my voice correctly in whatever way He sees fit. And so that's what I try to do with my channel here, and I'm thankful that you guys have been taking well to it. And my last couple therapy sessions have gotten some good views and some likes, so I really appreciate that. Because it's not the Lakers, the Lakers stuff is, not personal. I'm not going to gather attention. The Lakers are going to gather attention, and therefore people are going to watch me talk about them. But when you listen to me talk about my therapy sessions, it's really about my own walk. And I don't know who cares about that, but the point is that people do gives me an opportunity to keep it going, and I really appreciate it. So, yeah, that's what it is. And I just want to tell everybody who comes to me for therapy sessions or Lakers stuff separate, that this is just how I do it. I don't have any intentions of separating the two. I don't care to at all. I think that when you're in your own lane, you create what you want to create, and there's nobody telling me how to do things the right way or the wrong way, nor pressure for me to do things a certain way. So I just do it the way I want to and let the chips fall where they may. I would like to expand this channel. In some ways I'm probably gonna have to monetize it at some point, even though I'm vehemently against having to do that for my own reasons. I just think we're in a place where if you don't do things correctly, you just don't grow. That's what I'm trying to find. You don't grow your channel, and you can't reach the people who would otherwise need you if you can't become successful enough to reach enough people to do that. So I think that's going to be the goal, is to work on myself to desire to build the channel more so, and then from there organically the channel will grow just off of the strength of my decision to make it so. But I have not yet stepped into that space where I'm ready to put all the bells and whistles on this channel, and we'll get there soon. We will get there. So that's what I wanted to say as well. So I guess to filter some of the things that I saw, first of all, I want to send well wishes to everybody who's dealing with any immigration situation of any kind. I don't have any connections to that as somebody who's born in the country. Slave blood. I don't have to deal with the hell that comes with trying to get citizenship. I don't know of the details too much, other than what friends have gone through, that I've been in a position to kind of see their lives play out and see how they have to go through the rigmarole of trying to get things right in this country. And I don't assume that I understand why something would be so complicated, but I do know that we need to simplify it would probably be for the betterment of everybody, not just those who are trying to come into the country, but also those who are here. It should not take 7 and 8 years to get a yes or a no on something like that, especially when you're dealing with people who don't have money, may not necessarily have the ability to track back and forth. Some of these people have children in opposite places, whether it be here or where they come from, to where they ain't got 8 years to be trying to figure out what America wants to do. And unfortunately, because America's in the position it's in, to where you need us, we don't even want you, let alone need you, they get to do this to these people. And we talk about cruel and unusual punishments and various things that we don't allow in our judicial system, and then you look at how we treat immigrants, and it's like, yeah, but we do allow some cruel and unusual stuff taking place over there. We talk about slavery and how we hated the fact that we were separated from our families, and all that stuff like that is happening today, right now. People are being separated from their families. Kids don't know where their parents are. Parents don't know where their kids are. People are taking kids that ain't theirs and crossing the border with them, pretending to stay kids. All kinds of other stuff that's going on that I'm hearing about, that I just know if we're indifferent toward, it can be bad for them. And then for those of us who don't care about them, when you allow stuff like this to happen, what ends up happening is you breed monsters. all the different stuff that y'all afraid of in these various places that you don't want coming over here, all these different elements that you're afraid of that are too raw for your consumption, the things that you buy your guns for, yeah, those are the things that you're welcoming into your life when you put a target on yourself by way of mistreatment of others. That's what it is. And there's a lot of people who won't suffer the ills of that, the consequences of that mistreatment, doing the mistreating. It's the people who don't want any of this to happen that will ultimately pay for it happening. And so that's what I understand. When you're on this level, it's a lot of stuff that's down here that would make it so that your life is more so raw. You know, as the more money you have and the more comfort and familiarity you have with stability, the less likely you're going to live in those raw spaces where desperation and hopelessness and callousness and giving up a long time ago to the point where I don't have a heart no more, I'm just trying to make a way, is present. And there's a lot of people who have something to lose, who've never lost everything, who've had something before and never been at risk of losing anything, who want to point it to people who live these raw lives and tell them what they're doing is not acceptable, not knowing that they too would have to do those things in order to survive, not caring because they know they'll never have to deal with those things. And that, my friend, is bad, because you got people who are not affected by these circumstances making decisions for people who are. And that is something they would not allow if the shoe was on the other foot. So we just need to find balance in the presence of different conversations. I'm looking at other things. I'm looking at something that's starting to trigger the world. And that is what's going on with Target that I just became aware of. In the same flurry, in the same little hour, I'm looking at my phone, I'm seeing this, and then I'm seeing Target. And Target's talking about selling clothing to kids 4 years older and up, I believe, that would otherwise be gender specific to transgender children and stuff like that. They got, from what I understand, they were selling some underwear that would allow for tuckage, I guess you can say, for children. And you know, this is where balance is lost, I think, in the presence of trying to allow people to embrace identity early. You also ostracize those who want to protect their children from just grown-up stuff, you know what I mean? And that's where we start giving too much to some and not enough to others, where balance is not found. It's like the immediate thing for someone who was raised in a household like myself is to say that this is not for children. This is demonic. This is something that's going to lead children into a space where they're more confused, not less. This is going to lead children into a space where they're sooner thinking about sexual activity rather than sooner embracing who they are as human beings. And so I just think that we need to come to a conclusion about that is balanced, no different than we need to find conclusions for other conundrums like the gun conversation in this country. Because you're not going to find a solution in silencing either side, and the presence of the words demonic energy will make it so that you never get anywhere in regards to the conversation that needs to be gotten somewhere, because there's children involved. So you end up having two people warring with each other, two sides warring with each other, instead of coming to amicable conclusions that are best for the innocent. And that is where I come in. I think there are people, and I always say that there are people who understand that and want that to be in place. The confusion and the conflict, they want that. You know what I'm saying? And so what we have to do, if we're aware of that, is to combat that. Combat the desire for that confusion to be in place. See, that's the part that a lot of people, we haven't, and I'm just saying this from my own perspective, we haven't elevated to a point in society where we are looking at what causes the drama that we engage in. We attach ourselves to the conversations, and we pick a side based on what we are used to and what we believe is right. But what we haven't evolved to is realizing that somebody's in place who wants that, absolutely wants us confused, and they are benefiting from that confusion. Once we start normalizing that understanding, we can start focusing on these things a bit more different in regards to acknowledging that there is an entity in place, good and evil, so to speak, that has an agenda, that is pushing that agenda while pretending they don't exist. This is the same thing I say about something similar in regards to my position on the Lord himself. The Lord himself, God, the higher power. This is my take on it. For those who don't believe in God, there are certain things that they will not take into account that are in place. The empathy the vessels of humanity are supposed to have toward that God. If you don't believe in God, you're never considering what pisses him off, what makes him happy, what makes him sad, or that he's sad and you shouldn't want that. See, there's a relationship that comes with people who have a relationship with God, and that is not only the service to adhere to a God as if he's something you're supposed to salute and bow to, but also as an entity that needs care, comfort, relief, support, and all these different point of views that are never into the minds of those who don't believe God is there in the first place. So you forget the angles that are necessary to consider what prayer means to the God himself, what his fears may be, what his dreams are for his people, what his dreams are for you, and what you're doing to get in the way of those dreams by way of your ambition, callousness, lack of concern about other people's point of views that you don't relate to, lack of a desire to relate to things that you don't relate to, and various different things that will allow you to be indifferent, that ultimately snuffs the dreams of the one who created us in regards to what it is he wants to see us become. The idea that doing things the wrong way and bringing about the wrong results is something you can stop doing and do things the right way. You don't believe in God. You don't realize that he wants for you what's best for you. He's not looking to do this. The world has been telling you for as long as it's been spinning that God does this. But God can do whatever he wants. He's not trapped by the rules that we believe he's trapped by as it pertains to what he's willing to do to us for what it is that we do to ourselves. It's one thing that the Lord helped me understand when I was trying to heal from what it is that I've been dealing with. He feels my pain. He's in my heart when I'm feeling my anxieties. That's the difference between how I feel today and how I felt 2 days ago. It's the acknowledgement that I am feeling something that something else is also feeling while I'm feeling it. And if I allow myself to believe that, I can see his desire to relieve me of that pain no different than I desire to relieve myself of it. And if I fall in line with what it is that he wants me to do, not only can he help me relieve myself of that pain, but the desire to be relieved of that pain will no longer be the priority, but to endure that pain, because he gives me the ability to feel as if I'm not the only one going through it. So while I'm going through it, I don't have to sit here and say, God, get some understanding in regards to what I'm feeling, because I don't feel like you feel what I'm feeling. You will then realize that he's inside of you feeling what you're feeling as you're feeling it, and has the same urgency to help you through your circumstance, so long as you don't forget that truth. Something else that came to me while I was trying to cope with these circumstances. There's 3 things the Lord wanted me to do, and I'll try to get it right because I've been messing it up with regards to these 3 things. These 3 things he wanted me to do: believe, listen, and remember the truth. Believe, first apply the belief that such a thing exists as a God. Listen to that inner spirit inside of you when you ask God for something, and then he provides you that for which you need as an answer. Some get answers, maybe some don't. At his leisure, I don't know what to say. Hopefully you'll get your answer. That's all I got for that. But then the third part of that is remembering the truth. And the truth is, every good thing that comes to me comes from him. The purpose that we hold in regards to ourselves is to put forth more life and more building and more examples of what to do and unfortunately what not to do, and to build forth, continue to provide some way forward for a new generation that's coming after us. That is the truth. The truth is that we are to live so that others are to live. And any conflict you have right now, whether it be with this side or the other side, you must understand that people will keep on loving, keep on living, keep on breeding. And the same people you had conflict with may be the same people you share a great grandson with. And that is the truth. That is the truth he wants me not to forget. Believe in a God, listen to a God, and don't forget that no matter what's going on, the people that you may be at war with today may be your family tomorrow, and because of it, you need to be looking for solutions to problems that you otherwise don't care to find solutions for the betterment of those grandkids and great grandkids of whom you will love, who are not here yet, who you share blood with, the people you hate. And that, my friends, is the truth. It's the very truth and the essence of what it is that faith is about, is to know why you're here, that what you're dealing with keeps going, and that people will come from some of the circumstances from which you war about. So don't be married to them damn wars and do not think they're supposed to go on forever. They are not. So these are the things that the Lord wants me to understand. And remember that while you're feeling what you're feeling, He's in you. He's not outside of you, empathizing with you like the rest of the world may have to in order to understand what you're going through. And maybe you're lucky enough to run into an empath so they can feel your pain, so to speak. That ain't how this works. God is in you. He is inside of you, feeling the agony or the joy that you feel. And if you understand that fully and you welcome Him into your heart, then you will understand why it's pain that He's taking on by way of your pain and your choices that you engage in that make Him unhappy. Unhappiness is the word. They use anger because anger can be met with fire. If somebody's angry with me, I can defend myself. We at war. Even if I'm wrong, they coming at me, I got to defend myself. So the presence of anger means I got to defend myself. That is not the dynamic that God wanted us to have for us. It's not it. Those were lies told to us by people who want to position themselves as the bigger religion. That ain't real. Because God understands. He has the context from which to derive from. He knows why you did what you did, and stuff you forgot about, and stuff you don't know about. He knows the secrets that you believe that were lies told to you by people you thought you could trust. He knows. This is the context. Not only does He know what you feel, but He knows why you feel it, even if you don't. So the answers are in you if He's in you. The answers is in that prayer. It's not in the world. Because the world itself might not even know the secrets that you don't know, that you need to know to help you understand why you're feeling what you're feeling. You don't have what you need necessarily, but that with what is inside of you does. So you got to trust it. You got to trust it. You got to believe it. And understand this. It's a lot of stuff that's going to be changing in this world just by way of the natural things as they go. But at the end of the day, things don't have to change. One thing that doesn't have to change is our understanding that we can overcome the battles in front of us. No matter what those battles are, no matter how difficult they get, no matter what the conditioning of the world will be tomorrow, you will have your tools to be able to say a prayer, if nothing else. If you ain't got nothing but your drawers and the cold air on your skin, you got a prayer. And because of that, there's something you can think about that maybe the Lord can do something with. Something you can think about that He can do something with. What does that mean? Your prayers. What has agony always done? Agony has allowed you the understanding of something that would otherwise not be there if not for the presence of it. Agony itself. So what does that understanding do? It gives me an understanding, an idea. What does that idea provide? A suggestion of prayer. God, because I'm going through eviction, help everybody who's going through eviction. Because my leg hurts, help everybody whose leg hurts. Because I got a migraine, help everybody who's going through any type of migraine situation. These things that you go through provide you the examples from which to be of service to God Himself and the dreams He has for all of us. By way of the prayers you pray and your intentions upon yourself and the example your trials give you for which to apply your love to others and your empathy toward others. That's all the hard time has ever done, is giving you something to relate to. That's all the difficulty has ever done, all suffering has ever done, is giving you somebody to relate to, giving you somebody to know of, to pray for. That's it. So that's what it do. I'm in a car accident, I'm praying for people in the car accident. I'm in the hospital, I'm praying for everybody in the hospital. I got cancer, I'm praying for everybody who got cancer. There's nothing you can go through that doesn't provide you an example from which to be a blessing to the dreams of the Lord, who wants for everyone, not just for you. And I'm telling you, for all of us who don't see any fruit in being unselfish, you've wanted something. You've wanted something. And someone needs to give you a break in order for you to have it. If you are not, and I've said this before, if you're not willing to give anybody a break, what is there to say that there will be a break available to you when you need it? Or for those who don't think they'll ever need a break, maybe you're at the top of the food chain in the world, you don't need nothing, but somebody you love may. Somebody you think about may. Somebody that you care about may have somebody they care about who may. There's always a degree of separation that can reach your heart. Don't think it can't. Just because you might have a callousness within you and makes you feel like nothing matters, you just ain't discovered what matters. And when you do, you're going to be in agony, and God is already aware of what it is. That's the point. He's already there. He knows the secrets. He knows the details. He got every hair on the head of your enemy accounted for, just like your child. Everything. needed to know is understood, past, present, future, and any other dimensions as well. That's the power of the God that you have. See, a lot of the things that we feel are relatable are based on the things that we can fathom. We are smart enough to be able to behold. Our brain can behold the idea that someone loves me or hates me, and all these different things are just, they're small potatoes in the grand scheme of what it is the Lord is looking at. That's just a fraction of the math. That's not everything. So when you know He knows everything, you know that you can't even behold everything. You don't have the time to take in all the knowledge that He would want to bestow upon you singularly, let alone to give to the whole world. It's not enough time to fill you up with that information. It takes trust to make it. It takes a belief that something knows more than I and will help me away from energies that He don't respect, that goes against His dream for His world that He created. He gonna put me in a position to be able to know of Him in ways that I otherwise would not be able to at all, if not for just the belief that, first of all, He is inside of me that feels what I feel. I don't have to go through the wars that come with thinking nobody relates. I don't have to go through the war with thinking that I need to appeal to a God who doesn't understand, because that's what the devil often does. He makes us think God don't understand us, so we end up hating God for not, when it's not the case. It's got to get closer to God, and you got to stop doing the things that keep you from being able to communicate with Him, that make it so that the language you speak ain't the language He speaks. And people be like, I can't hear Him. That's because there needs to be something there that's not there in regards to your energy that allow you to be able to hear that inner peace that's available to you, that inner Holy Spirit, so to speak, that's supposed to be in you to help you get through or suggest or what have you, the right things for you to do. If you're engaging in the wrong energy, I'm telling you by way of my own experience that you ain't gonna be able to hear that. Even if you're in tune with God, you ain't gonna be able to hear Him. The truth is gonna be absent to you. You're going to think He can't feel your pain, and you're going to be trying to appeal to the anger inside to help you cope with that, which will coerce you into spaces that will deteriorate what it is that ultimately will make you feel better. People do it all the time. They become callous and they become monsters, and then they start, duplicating more monsters with that energy. It has to stop somewhere. It has to stop somewhere, and I think that a lot of the worst stuff in the world is just going to come from people. A lot of the worst stuff in the world is going to stop by way of people who benefit, engage in that nonsense, and otherwise who wouldn't change their minds, just simply not doing that stuff no more for their own reasons. It's the only way the world's going to change. We talk about child trafficking and all that stuff. You ain't going to do nothing to those people in regards of stopping them from doing what it is that they're doing and stopping them from engaging in what it is that harms children or others until they see it in their hearts to either be too fearful to keep doing it, or they see something inside of them that helps them realize that there's another way to go forward for themselves. And then by way of that change, where you see the culture slowly but surely start to emerge into something different that otherwise doesn't do what it does. Waging war against people who are in poverty, who think it's okay to do something like this, is not going to change their hearts and keep them from relaying that culture forward. It's not. I'm telling you right now. Slaughtering a bunch of people that does that, the only thing that's going to happen is their children, who were the ones that they were doing this to, turned into them. That's what they are. That's all they are. It's the forgotten from the 80s and the 70s that are now engaging in the evils of the 2020s. It's like, it's the same babies that you're allowing to go through this trauma that turn into the monsters that you guys ultimately need to stop tomorrow. And so what I understand is, in all the conversations I've had about protecting children, it starts with changing the hearts of the people who engage in that of which doesn't protect the children. You got to help the children who are being destroyed by this nonsense and their spirits being destroyed by the stuff that's going on today. You got to reach them. You got to reach them early to help them understand that they're going to have to police themselves in regards to their energy. They're going to have to engage in good things. They're going to have to believe in something other than the callousness that's been normalized around them. They're going to have to believe that people ain't supposed to be treated the way they were supposed to be treated, that it's abnormal to do that to people. Because that's what it is. That's what I was talking about at the beginning. When people don't have nothing, they live in raw lives. They live in callous lives. And the further down into poverty you get, the less likely you're going to see morality. Because what you're going to see replaced with morality is desperation. desperation and heartbreak and long embedded generational poverty that makes it so that people don't care to do certain things, that they don't have the parameters around them that would otherwise say, yo, I don't need to do this to a human being. This is what I was telling you guys about poverty a long time ago. It's like when everybody around you is dying, why do I value life? Every 3 weeks I'm losing a homie. Why am I valuing life? You know what I mean? And life means something different for those who have something to lose, who are surrounded by family and people, structure, generational wealth in place from years past. All this stuff you don't have to deal with, robbing somebody. It's very easy for you to say don't steal because your ass don't have to. You don't have to eat something out of the trash can if you don't take from somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So if you were in that position, what you gonna do? Wrong, or you're gonna kill yourself. So don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't judge people who are in them circumstances who are doing something other than killing themselves. Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. And so it's like, look, when you down here on this poverty level, and you start having conversations, real conversations with people who don't have nothing, you start finding out the deterioration of certain things are going to often be in place. Deterioration of certain norms that you're going to find everywhere else when everybody got something to lose. When everybody can be polite to each other. Because nobody's looking to take from anybody in order to feed themselves. And so if you can't relate to that, good for you. But the wise thing to do is to know that you don't. To embody that. You ain't God. You can't feel their pain. You on the outside of that. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what their context is. You don't know the first thing about what they're going through or the next thing they're about to go through. But what you do know is you don't approve of whatever it is that they have to deal with in regards to desperation. And guess what? The secret is they don't either. I was thinking about it last night. People who have to go out there and do things they don't want to do. Yeah, you got some serial killers out there who would love to kill people for nothing. You got some robbers out there who are career robbers who love doing what they do. But it's a good portion of people out there who honestly just want to feed their families. And they're engaging in whatever they have to, and they lost their souls the last couple robberies, so they don't have a soul no more. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing. Maybe they was scared, maybe they had conscience about it the first couple times they had to do it. But at this point, it's just the desperation that takes over. When they look at their child and realize they ain't got nothing to eat, they for sure gonna go outside and rob somebody who look like me. For sure. Because they're gonna weigh that. Again, we talk about balance. They're going to weigh that against that of which they see in their child's eyes. I'm going to throw myself in hell, in the jail, and anything else to keep my child from being hungry. So that means you got to go through something. Sorry. Or not, for that matter. Maybe I was sorry the first couple times. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, look, first of all, if you are someone who's rich, who doesn't take poverty as seriously as I'm saying, please understand what I'm saying to you. Please understand what I'm saying to you. I was looking at this guy. I don't remember what his name was, but this happened a couple years ago, and they're going to trial about it right now. He walked into the bank, money hanging out of his pocket, jewelry on his chest, no security, by himself. And the bank teller at the place that was showing the surveillance of where he was at, the bank, and he was essentially being told by the bank teller, yo, aren't you afraid about being robbed? And he said some old goofy stuff about people know who to rob and who not to rob, and then proceeds to go outside and get robbed. And so it's like, if you're not going to respect poverty, or if you're so brash and stupid and arrogant in yourself as to think that nobody going to take nothing off of you because you believe me, they will take something off of anyone. You could be Jesus Christ, a Pope combined. They will take from you what they need to fill their belly so that child there that we're referring to can be fed. And they'll feel bad about it or whatever their heart allow them to do. But don't think for any reason that anybody in a desperate situation is too bold to try you. Don't think that. I promise you they aren't. I don't care who you are or how many people you got with you. If they're desperate enough, they're coming. And they come with a lot of people too. And so that's what I've come to understand in regards to Los Angeles. I'm from here. I know that. Nobody, zero body is exempt from getting touched. There's nobody not afraid to touch out here, including you and you and you. Just telling you right now. And in places where poverty is prevalent and callousness is prevalent, that stands. So stop playing with people's pain. Especially if you can't relate to the desperation of what it is they're going through. Pray about it. Know that the Lord knows what they're going through, and He may deliver you into their hands with your callousness. Know that. Because at the end of the day, the Lord wants that child fed too. He does. And that's something I've come to understand when realizing that He feels my pain. That He feels the pain of those who do wrong to me as well. And so there's some forgiveness to be applied when you consider the different divisions of separation that come from certain circumstances. But the callousness within and the presence of no God will make you think that you don't have any responsibility to that. See? Because there ain't no God, so there's no reason for me to provide some empathy to someone who does anything to me for the betterment of what it is that they got going on. Because technically, I don't ever think that God has any dreams for them and the people that they're trying to save. But when you know that God has dreams for those people, you know they ain't out there just to be for craps and giggles. They out there because of desperation. You understand how quickly you need to take everything off when they rob you. See what I'm saying? That arrogance and make you think that you can't be touched, that get you shot. No, when you understand the desperation and you understand what it is they're dealing with, you know how fast you need to be moving. And so these are the type of things it's like, yo, the presence of God will save your life in a million different ways. Because what he won't do is allow you the arrogance of thinking he's not present. Or that he's going to deliver you something that you don't deserve. Or that the center of your ambition and all that you've accomplished and the generational wealth that you provided your children is the end of the story. There's a lot of people think they reach the end of the mountaintop, they get to where they're going, and it's the end. I made it. Fam, there's a million people around who are looking to make it, and you have. Story ain't over. You got to keep on your guard, and you got to keep your spirit right. And most importantly, with your spirit being right, you got to do what the Lord tell you to do. The worst thing we can do is believe in God and then not do what he tells us to do. Or believe in God and forget the truth. And all that confusion that comes with being obedient to God, finding the consequences that comes from being obedient with God, to God, and then not necessarily being pleased with the consequences. Like myself. That's what I am going through. God told me to stay here in his own way, provided me every bit of the respect necessary to know that he was in place the whole time. And then, as I was obedient to God in the way that he told me to be, I started taking on stresses that come with naturally doing that, because he asked me to do things that are probably not going to work for me in regards to the world we're in, but maybe puts me in a position to be who I need to be in the moments he wants me to be that. And for all I know, he'll have another plan for what it is that's lining up against me. But the point is that obedience is not to be forgotten in regards to how much importance it holds to what the Lord wants me to do. If I would have did what the world wants me to do, I probably would have gotten significantly worse consequences of what it is I'm faced with. Why? Because it wasn't what God told me to do. It was what the world told me to do. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. In the presence of having no God, you will not know of him telling you to do anything, and will only adhere to what the world is funneling you toward, and thus will come with the consequences necessary that come with that. You're going to get the consequences that come with listening to the world. And the world's just trying to funnel you into basically itself. Into the vast void that is endless ambition and callousness. That's all the world really provides. It's a godlessness, if not for the presence of praying people like myself, who will remind all of us that he's present, that his duty to the world is not to you, because you are not God, he is. And he does what he wants to, but with that being said, he really does have a desire to see us healthy, happy, at peace, and most importantly, cognizant of what it is that other people got going on, to the point where we allow for him to move in their lives. Allow for him to move in their lives. And one of the things that I think about a lot in regards to this apartment is, if I am kicked out of here, make sure that the next person who comes in is in a space where they are exactly where they need to be at the exact time they need to be, because that's what he did for me. Whoever had to vacate this apartment, whoever thought they were going to get this apartment, it didn't work out so I could be here. And so it's like, look, I don't want to be in sin to the point where I'm so attached to this place that I forget that I wasn't born in this room. You understand what I'm saying? And there was a life here before this room, and there's going to be a life after this room. But if I get caught in the godlessness of my own anxieties and the presence of my own mental health and all these different things, I'm going to go trying to relieve myself over the pain of what it is I'm feeling without actually giving God the credence to move me as he sees fit. Move me as he sees fit. Start thinking about, Lord, what if the squeeze is tomorrow? What if the thing I've been waiting for the last 3 years happens tomorrow? And all this time leading up to it, I would have done everything I could to pull myself away from the glory of God. by way of my doubt, by way of my depression. There were times where I felt like jumping off a roof over these last couple days. And I would have jumped off a roof right before tomorrow came. Everything I wanted would have let the enemy win. And my thing is, and I've heard somebody say this, and I'm going to say it to you. Your job when you're feeling pain is to get past the moment you're in. Your job when you're feeling immense stress is to get past the moment you're in. Because that's the moment that the enemy's trying to get you to stop your entire life in. In the moment where it becomes too much. When you take that fork in the road and that crossroads and you go the left way, it's that decision, that weakness that can derail your entire life and all the plans and all the dreams that God has for you. It could turn you into something that you don't even recognize. So what we got to do is not allow that to happen in any way, shape, or form by staying absolutely close to him and understand what the plan is, which is, in the end, good wins. We don't know how we're going to get there. We don't know all the different ebbs and flows and the different moments that are going to have to lead up to that. But at the end of the day, if you know God is in charge, he's not going to leave himself a loser. In the end, goodness wins. And so that's what I would tell to everybody who follows me. If you're engaging in some bad energy, if you are keeping up the culture of different things that should not be kept up, keeping kids from being safe, I just want to tell you, the difference is you, friend. The difference is you. It's not for me to say you need to go to jail. It's not for me to say you need to have this, that, and the third cut off of you so that kids can be safe. No, we need you to find that inner child who wasn't safe and give them a different path so that they don't turn into the same thing that you're turning into and thus needing to be stopped. At the end of the day, there's a million ways to make money, man. And there's a million ways to treat people. There's a million ways to treat people. And that's what I want to say to all those who are engaging in the worst stuff. There's a million ways to treat people, man. I can't convince you that getting a buck isn't the right thing when you're starving. I can't do that. I can convince you that God is going to be unhappy with you by way of the way you get your buck. I can tell you that I'm not with getting my buck that way. I can tell you that if I see you doing something, I'm willing to throw my life at you to keep you from doing it. But at the end of the day, that's not going to build forth a way for my children to exist in a safe room, for your children to exist in a safe room, and most importantly, for the pain that you engaged in, that you was applied, to not be normal anymore. I want all the people to think about this. There are people out there who are making a lot of money not doing what you're doing, and they benefit from that. They benefit from that, and they found a way. But what I would tell you is, there is another way to make money than to victimize children, and to victimize women, and to victimize individuals that otherwise don't have any power. Okay? There's other ways, man. There's other ways. And maybe your culture don't allow for you to care about that. Maybe you're in a demonic space, so this ain't for you. But for a lot of people who are in those spaces just because they feel like their soul is gone already, they used to care about people that they can't anymore now, so it's too late. What I'm telling you is that no such thing as too late. Not in regards to continuing to do things you ain't got no business doing. No, you can stop. You can stop. And I think you're going to find that if you do, certain things are going to fall into place that allow for other things that are otherwise not supposed to fall into place because of what it is that you're doing to fall into place. I speak of generational curses. That's what I speak of. When you do certain things to certain people, especially if you live your whole life and get away with it, you best believe it's going to fall on your kids. I don't know how that works in regards to God. For all I know, he puts your spirit in your kids so you can suffer those ills. I don't know. I'm not pretending to know. But what I do know is you ain't getting away with it. Nor will what it is that you've built be to any benefit in the end. Everything that's going to be built from what it is that you've done, it's going to be deteriorated. It's going to be destroyed. Everything that was done in the dark will likely be exposed in the light later on. You will be disgraced heavily, man. And the thing about it is, because we're getting better at identifying certain things, we're getting better as a world at DNA sampling and finding identity. They got a log of everybody. They're going to know who you were. They're going to know who you were. That's what I want to tell all those people who are doing a lot of stuff in the dark, got their last name attached to the stuff. In 2023, they may not be able to know who you are. In 2050, they're going to know exactly who you are, fam. To your name. You know what I'm saying? That's why I want to tell all those people who are engaging in stuff. Fear what it is I'm telling you, man. Because it's real. Whatever the afterlife is, if there's a such thing, that's a whole nother fight that you're going to have to deal with. We ain't even talking about no damn afterlife. We're talking about legacy. We're talking about what being able to comfortably continue doing what you're doing. And we're talking about those who benefit from what you're doing, who allow for you to benefit from it, who do know better. You may not know better. That's the part that often gets lost. People who engage in this stuff, as I said, they were the people who got it done to them. A lot of these people who have these norms, their families were people who engage in this stuff. They don't know any better. This is the world they know. They know to hide it because that's the functionality of keeping it going. But to not do it, they don't know of a world where this should not be done. They don't know of a world where they shouldn't do this in the dark. This should be done according to them. This is how it's been done. This is how they eat. And those who suffer, just like slavery in the old days, they don't care about no human suffering. That's your problem. You see, and that's how they engage. That's the callousness of that type of energy. So what I'm telling you is, there is going to be some awakening in regards to the dreams, so to speak, of God, his dreams for all these people. You're going to start to see the movement in regards to what it is that he wants to do against this type of energy. It ain't going to keep going the same way it's been going, I don't believe. But it's not war that's going to fix this. It's the introduction of compassion, callousness, and the normalization of love once again. There are a lot of people going to see that as corny. That's fine. But we're saving lives here with this here love, corniness. It's going to save some people. It's going to save some souls too. It ain't just about making yourself less threatening or less dangerous to those who would otherwise destroy you. Because, again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Being dangerous, in my opinion, ain't just a display of strength. It's the ability to act, to put forth action when necessary in ways that would otherwise fend off what's coming against you. You don't have to be brash in your words. You don't have to be to be able to wipe away your enemies. I can do that with a smile on my face if I got the resources to do it. So I don't have to, you know what I'm saying? It's not, a lot of that energy is posturing, godless posturing that comes from the absence of the Lord being present, absence from understanding that he can feel your pain, comes from, it grows from the seed of a disconnection from the Creator. That's what breeds that type of defense. That makes you think you have to be ridiculously scary in order to defend yourself. You have to be ridiculously callous or ridiculously incompassionate, if that's a word, lacking compassion in order to be strong and protect yourself from the ills that are out here. So I don't assume to know what people have to do to survive, what chess games people are playing, but I know what pisses God off, so to speak. I know what kills his dreams in regards to the lives of the people he's creating every day. I know what's going to create more monsters that ultimately are confused about what it is they need to be engaging in to welcome the right energy toward their seeds generationally. These are the things that I understand deeply and speak for the the restoration of spiritual energy, restoration of compassion, the restoration of decision making that would otherwise welcome the opposite of generational curses. And that is possible when you turn away from these things. Maybe you bring about some generational blessings. Maybe we can enter that seed of possibility into the equation for those who want to continue to engage in callous nonsense that ultimately destroys innocence. Maybe you'll be benefiting greatly. Maybe your family will benefit greatly from you just simply turning away from that stuff. I think about randomness, the pandemic. I think about random stuff like the bubonic plague. I think about random things that happened that wiped people off of the earth. And I think about what possibilities the Lord was thinking about, what could have been going through his mind when he allowed for that to happen. Who actually died from those plagues? Were those not generational curses from thousands of years ago, or hundreds of years ago, that ultimately fell on the heads of those who did whatever it is they did? I don't know. But when I think about that stuff and I think about the protection against those things, I think about this is somewhere in that conversation. Maybe my great-grandson doesn't have to die of the bubonic plague in 2120 because I didn't engage in sex trafficking in 2023. That's all I'm saying. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. Now.